Good morning, ultimate hustlers and digital empire builders. It is that time for the Cortez Hustle Show. And today we got a wonderful show lined up for you. We got a very special guest, best-selling author, Miss Author Bae, author of What's Next, will chronicle her journey as a single mom, some of the things that she's gone through, her new book where she's chronicled some trauma and how she's overcome. Man, it's about to go down. You do not want to miss this. So do me a huge favor, ladies and gentlemen. Comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand, and smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. And let's kick it. Yo, what's up, ultimate hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur, coming to you live and direct from the Black Biz Success Mastermind Studios right here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you're not familiar with the Black Biz Success Mastermind, it is the premier mastermind community for Black entrepreneurs, aspiring Black entrepreneurs, and those who love and want to network and support Black-owned businesses. We literally provide hundreds of dollars of free training and resources every single week in this community, including our Black Biz Success Spotlight, where we do Saturday mornings, where we highlight some of the entrepreneurs in our mastermind, share with you what they got going on, introduce you to their products and services and how you can support. So if you have not joined the mastermind, all you got to do is text keyword mastermind to 314-866-4053. Again, text keyword mastermind to 314-866-4053 if you want to be a part of this amazing community. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with author of What's Next, Part 1, Miss Author Bae. And she's got some unique circumstances and situations that she's overcome. And we're going to be talking all about that today in the release of her brand new book. But before we get into any of that, y'all know I got a couple quick announcements for y'all. If you are in the St. Louis area and you've got talent, my good friends over at Unheard Media are actually hosting an in-person pitch party. That's right. You can pitch your idea for your show that will be on their network on Roku, and even have the potential to have that show on their local station here in St. Louis, Missouri as well. All you got to do is send an email to admin@unheardtv.com. Again, send an email to admin@unheardtv.com. Tell them that Cortez Hustle sent you, and they'll get you on the schedule. The pitch party is this December 19th. So, but you got to get on the calendar by the 17th so that they can make room for you. Make sure you check that out. Also, shout out to my girl, Bianca Shante. I get to adopt a veteran this holiday season. And she actually asked me to come down to the facility and say a prayer and offer some words of encouragement to those who are in their transitional housing facility. If you have a volunteer opportunity for your boy, let me know, man. Shoot me a message in my inbox, and I would love to consider coming to help you out as well. Also, if you are a nonprofit organization or a church looking for digital marketing help, I want to volunteer some of my services as well at no cost to you. So all you got to do is inbox me, get on my calendar, and let's talk about what you got going on and see if I can help. And then also, the Daily Hustle is coming back. Let me guys know that I used to do a daily hustle where I did free training to help entrepreneurs grow their businesses. We're adding that to the Black Biz Success Mastermind. And I'm going to be teaching you all of the tips, the tricks of the trade of how to explode your business, especially online using social media, video marketing, and all the latest in personal branding, digital marketing. So be on the lookout for that, man. Super excited and can't wait to share with you some of those tips and strategies to help you grow your businesses and or your brands. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I was introduced to this young lady through a mutual acquaintance. Angela Stribling was another amazing author that I had on the show. And she said, listen, you've got to hear this young woman's story. She just published her book. She'd be a great addition to your show. So without further ado, let me introduce to some and present to others, Miss Author Bae. Good morning, sis. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
Awesome. Glad to have you on the show today. And we're going to get all up in your business today. But before we do any of that, we like to start the show with a quote of the day. So I'm going to share one of the quotes that stood out to me this morning as I was rereading Think and Grow Rich. So much knowledge and power in that book. So I'm going to share a quote. You can either comment on my quote or you can share a quote of your own as well. But today's quote right here on the Cortez Hustle Show is this: the fear of criticism is at the bottom of the destruction of most ideas which never reach the planning and action phase. We got to get out of this whole space where we are afraid of what other people think. It is killing lots of ideas and inventions and businesses before they even get started. The fear of criticism is at the bottom of the destruction of most ideas which never reach the planning and action stage. So, Ms. Author Bae, do you have a favorite quote that you want to share, or do you want to chime in on that one?
I'll definitely chime in on that one. Think and Grow Rich, is that by Napoleon Hill?
Yes.
I got it's in my library. I gotta read it. I ordered it a while ago, but I'll chime in on that. Just kind of piggyback off of it with the fact that I think I said this a little while ago about being mindful of who you share your ideas with, even if someone don't mean any harm, because innovative thinking, it can get critical if it's something that was never done before. But if you're passionate about it and you feel it in your spirit and it's going to work, a lot of times things that you're passionate about is what your God-given gift is. So to just do it, take the risk. If you fail at it, all you could do is just see what kind of like interfere with that and just redo it again. Just go a different route about it. But if you're passionate, you're bound to excel.
I love it. You're right. And sometimes we wait, or we are anticipating the support and the belief of other people. Right. But we know that all things are possible for him or her that believes. Not necessarily him that has a friend that believes. It's not a requirement for anyone else to believe in what you got going on and what you've been called to do and what you feel led to do other than yourself, right? So I love that, man. If you feel it, there's a reason that you feel it. And there's a reason that other people don't, because it's not their assignment, right? So you got to move with your assignment. And that is the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. Again, brought to you by the Black Bear Success Mastermind. Ladies and gentlemen, we're growing an amazing community where we can no longer afford to hoard information. It's been part of the destruction of our culture since forever. And that's not what we're doing. We are literally sharing best practices, things that are causing other people to win in business and life. That's what the Black Bear Success Mastermind is all about. Text Mastermind to 314-866-4053. So, Miss Author Bae, I asked everybody that come on the Cortez Hustle Show the exact same question. And I'm going to ask it to you. Who the heck are you?
Well, Miss Author Bae is the name. I'm a Pittsburgh native, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was actually born in California. A lot of people don't know that, but Pittsburgh is my hometown, so that's where that's what I do. I am a mother of a 16-year-old. She's 16 teenagers. She's keeping me on my toes. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in my spare time, I'm just like outgoing, like to have fun. I've been partying a lot lately. I do a lot of reading and listening to music, and obviously writing. What else? That's pretty much. Yeah. No, I wear many hats. Like I wear literally many hats.
Gotcha. And what led you to PA? Was that a family thing? You moved out there when you were a kid, or?
Yes, so I was born in California. My mother fled Pittsburgh when she was about 5 months pregnant with me. She was a heroin addict at the time, and so she fled to get herself together to go live with stay with her older sister. At that time, she had already lost. I have an older brother that we don't know where he's at. He's like in his 50s or something like that. But
wow.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But so she basically didn't want to run into the same, problem. I think when she was pregnant with me, she was like 38 on heroin, and she was told she couldn't. It was being rare to have children. She had one fallopian tube. Fled, went to Cali, got clean. I was born in California, and she got homesick around 1990 when I was about 5 years old. So we came back. So that's why I say Pittsburgh's my hometown, because this is where I spent majority of my life from ages 5 to 36. So
gotcha. And that's something that that's a blessing that she wanted to get clean, and she sometimes people miss that. I want to get clean, but I don't want to change the environment that is not allowing me to get clean. And she had to go clear across the country to get herself clean. That's an amazing feat. And then, like you said, she got homesick. So it brought you back at 5 years old. What was your upbringing like after experiencing a little bit of California, but then now you're back home, East Coast? It's cold. It's a different vibe. What was your upbringing like now that mom's clean and she's kind of trying to raise you and keep you on the straight and narrow? What was that upbringing like through young teen and high school and stuff for Miss Author Bae?
The upbringing was very much a mixture of dysfunction, and as an adult now, I kind of look at it like, parents try their best, and just their different traumas, unfortunately has an effect on things. So it was like, dysfunction. We moved from project to project before we settled in. I don't know how you guys got it down there, but there's like different subsidized housing. So I grew up in subsidized housing projects. No Section 8, but we had like this thing called HUD. I would transfer from different schools. Was like, it was kind of like this neighborhood. It worked out to my good because I'm super popular in my city. But I appreciate the upbringing a lot more now, just because Black people, we have coming up, in poverty, low income. I wasn't super poor. Some people had it worse than others, but you can appreciate how creative we are. So, as much as there were a lot of traumas, and we'll get into the traumas as we talk further in, but, the typical fun things, playing knick-knock on the doors in the projects and running, through everybody's for the appreciate times like those, sledding down the hill on the top of the lid of a garbage can, so stuff like that. Getting wet with the fire hydrant because we all didn't have pool tags.
That's right.
It was a mixture of dope little traumas here and there, but it created this person sitting right here. So
Yeah, and I think that cannot be discounted. I remember uh, being the guy when I got old enough. I was the guy who turned on the fire hydrant so that we can all get wet because we didn't. I was like, man, listen, police gonna come. They gonna do what they gonna do, but we're gonna turn this water plug on
It is
because
hot
it's hot
outside.
as heck out here, and we're gonna have a good time. But yeah, you mentioned that ingenuity. And then I was gonna say, which kind of you alluded to it, that moving from set to set or housing project to housing project, it worked out because now it's like, man, everywhere I go, I know people because I spent some years here, spent
Right.
some years here, spent some time in this school, spent some time in this school, went to high school over here, went to elementary school over there. That's amazing, and now you're able to leverage that as an entrepreneur and putting out your works and things of that nature. So I think that's super cool as you kind of grew and developed. But that ingenuity is something that, I'm like that way too. I remember as a kid, I had a hammer, a pair of pliers, a butter knife, and a steak knife as my toolkit to fix my bikes, right? So I had to figure out how to use what I had,
Yeah.
right? Talk a little bit about how that helped shape and define you, learning how to use what you have and make the most of it.
Well, survival mode. I know we just kind of corresponded through Angela, but I spoke about this before. A lot of the dopest creators come from the projects.
Mhm.
That I know of, that come from nothing because we had that. It's a survival instinct in us, which
Yeah.
means you could put us in, especially Black people.
Mhm.
You could put us anywhere, and we gonna make a way. We're
Yeah.
very, and what that has done for me, at a young age, I was 22 years old when my daughter's father was murdered.
Oh
She
wow.
was one. She was like, going into 2 years old. I didn't. I was made for this, and a lot of people, and it was definitely hard, and I'll get more into that. But just even me having the strength, and I didn't see it then. I actually
Mhm.
see it more now, like at this age and where I'm at right now. But just
Mhm.
being able to do what I did, as with no support.
Mhm.
And my daughter grew up spoiled rotten, like she grew up like a celebrity kid, because I always wanted to give her what I didn't have.
Right.
But just
Right.
it just those type of things that I did go through, it created a strength that I didn't even know was there. And even leading to
Mhm.
now, just using those things is using those things to put forward what I'm working on, being very
Mhm.
transparent and using my story that is really like touching lives beyond measure, that I didn't think, that I was actually scared to do, like
Mhm.
ashamed,
Yeah.
thinking that, I was going to look weird, crazy. So I think it's really been flourishing even more now with me being aware. Before I wasn't aware of
Mhm.
what I had in me, it just was just going on. But now that I
Yeah.
see, like, wow, and so
Yeah. I think we have all been trained to be ashamed of our background and our upbringing. And like you said, our parents did what they could with what they had. They did the best that they could do. And as a result, a lot of us are creative geniuses. A lot of us are more stronger than we know. A lot of us are uh, deeper and more introspective if we are allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and use our story. The other thing that I think is a hindrance is because we've been made to feel that shame, we don't share our story. So we think that we're going through these things in isolation. And then when you start opening up, you start realizing everybody's talking, man, I went through that too. Oh man, that. And I'm like, wow, all this time we could have been a support system for each other. But because we got this shame associated with what we went through, we didn't want nobody to know. Everybody was going through the same thing. Everybody's living in the same ghetto. Everybody's experiencing the same trauma. Everybody's got a loved one that has been killed at a young age. Everybody is, and now that you see after putting out this work that a lot more people have gone through it. I know you've been getting a ton of good feedback, but can you share a story or an instance? And I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit of how it has impacted somebody personally that you know after they got their hands on this work and like, you know, this has changed the way I think or to change the way I move or behave?
Well, my messages, my inboxes are really like overfloated. I'm pretty sure it's going to get greater, but personally, I get I can't even narrow down to one person. I would say like even 5 that stood out to me, about 5 people. But my book opens up with a suicide attempt, you know, and I didn't even realize that this book was raising mental awareness. Like this is just something I was just doing, you know. Just getting the matter of fact, one person in particular, so there is one person in particular. I'm not going to say it because it's, you know, just when I do get a chance to share this, I don't want, you know, her put on the spot, but she did say to me, you know, like this book can save somebody's life. You know, she was like, you know, I'm waiting for part 2. I'm really happy you did something like this. She said, because I thought it was just me. You know, she was through the same experience of losing her son's father. And yeah, she just kind of was just like, she said she was crying. Everybody told me they was crying. They was laughing. They was laughing. They was mad at parts, and then they was crying. And so just I mean, of course, I know people have buried their kids dead, you know. But the thing that sets my book in its own lane and stuff like that is, I really say what was on my mind. It's like there's no dancing around it or no sugarcoat. So it's exactly how my brain was working. I had to relive those moments to even write like that, so you can feel it in the pit of your soul.
Wow.
So it's not just like a little like. It's in its own lane and it's manifested, you know. There's an urban book like this. It's like an urban thriller. But anyways, so somebody in particular did tell me that it's, you know, it made her feel like, dang, I wasn't the only one thinking like that. She said she told me she pretty much lost it, you know, for a while. You know, just to see that she wasn't crazy for losing it, regardless of what background she may have had as a child. You know, it just I always get this relatable and not.
Gotcha. I love that. I love that. Make sure you guys go out on Instagram and follow Miss Author Bae at Miss_Author_Bae. And don't flood her inbox unless you got a really good story to tell.
Yes, I'm like a therapist now.
She's got therapy sessions going on in her inbox.
And I appreciate the questions. I keep it so solid with my people when I talk to them or when I'm in my stories making little I do little snippets all the time with just how, you know, a new lesson I'm learning. I just tell everybody, look, I ain't got it figured out. I can share my journey with you. You know, right now I'm on a journey of healing and I don't got the answers. Right now I'm looking for the answers. So I can just share with you what I'm learning on the way.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to get all the way into that, man. The book sounds amazing. I can't wait to get my copy. But right now we got to get to my favorite segment of the show, Miss Author Bae. And this is a segment that we call 1 Minute Motivation. This is where we play a short motivational clip, usually 60 to 90 seconds or so. I'm big on personal growth and self-development in the right direction. So I try to bring that element into the show. So I just want you to comment or think about something that stands out to you, and we'll talk about it on the other side. If you listen to us live on Facebook or YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, make sure you comment one of your biggest takeaways from this segment of 1 Minute Motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. Let's get it.
To us. And I know you know the answer. The answer is the power of choice. The one thing we have in this world is we can't control the events, but we can choose what to focus on, we can choose what things mean, and we can choose what to do. Those 3 choices, those 3 decisions really control our life. It's not so much the conditions of our life that control our destiny as much as the decisions of our life. Try for a second to think about something. Think about your life. And just think about, are there a few decisions? If I were to ask you 2 decisions you've made in your life, you know, that if you would have made a different decision, you would have had a totally different life. I mean, it may be a life may have been better or may have been worse, I don't know, but you would have a different life. I'm not asking you to buy into the fact that you should have known the answers. I just want you to see the power of a decision. How is your life better today because of a decision you made years ago, not just negative ones? Think about it. Sometimes a little decision changes your whole life. Like you decide one day to go to a certain school, and you go to that school or to go eat someplace, and you bump into the person that becomes the love of your life. Or you meet someone and you decide as a result of that you're going to become a photographer or a software engineer or a business person or a doctor, a dentist, whatever. They impacted you, but you made the decision, that's what I really want. That's what my life's going to be about. And that decision has affected so much of your life, what you do, how you live your life, how you spend your time, what you earn or don't earn, who you attract into your life. Beliefs you have all come from some of these little decisions. What you decide.
Hoo-wee.
Mhm.
The power of choice. One of the reasons I love doing this, Ms. Author Bae, is because even though we all listened to the same clip, we all heard something different. So what did you hear?
Well, it kind of was muted like the first few seconds, but it was talk. It did. I heard it. I heard it as think of a decision that if you would have made different, because your life would have been better or worse. I definitely, what I got from that was like, it did make me think. I did think back to where back to where if I would have made one decision, where I would be at. I think about that all the time because I do feel like I would have been further than what I am now. However, one thing about the Most High, like when you do take those journeys, and you go around what was for you, you always get back to where you were supposed to be going anyway. It might have been took longer because you chose this way, because you are, the creator of your own destiny. But out to me, I think it just adds more to the story. But they did make me. It was like a critical thinking.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right about that. It's like Scripture talks about the children of Israel. It should have taken them 40 days to get to the promised land. It took them 40 years. They still got there. It just took them 40 years because they went a different way because of the choices and the decisions that they were making. And we all got to understand the power of choice, and that we could choose our happiness. We could choose our sadness. We can choose how we're going to respond and react to things that happen to us, or as some people say, things that happen for us in our lives to quicken us and to make us stronger, to make us better, to handle the things that we ask for. I want to get your take on this, because I often tell people that the minute you decide to do something great, you do call on the universe to bring to you the resources that you need to make that happen. But you also call on the universe to challenge you, and they'll put stumbling blocks and roadblocks in your way to make you stronger. Is that what you saw when you started the process? Okay, I'm actually going to go ahead and go through with writing the book. Yeah, the resources came, but did you recognize some of those challenges that came with that decision as well?
Yes, I decided to finish my book. My book was actually started 12 years ago. And I stopped writing for 8 years. I decided I had 17 chapters finished at the time of this decision. I decided to finish my book in 30 days. In the most darkest time of my life. Wow. That was challenging. I didn't even think that it was going to get done, as on point as it is. I was amazed myself that just me not even having knowledge. Everything I'm doing is just freestyling. The resources. So I didn't know it then. I do not now. I really have been walking by faith and not sight. Like you fell into my hands. I didn't go searching. You know what I'm saying? Someone referred me because my book is buzzing to Angela, and Angela was so moved that she felt like sharing. So that is really so true. Faith without work. I had faith in my situation, but there was definitely obstacles. It's still obstacles going on right now, and I just tell myself every day, if you want it that bad, you got to fight. Right. You've been fighting your whole life. So why not fight for this now?
Love it. Love it. The power of choice, ladies and gentlemen. You have to decide to get something done. And then when you put a timeline on it, like she did, that changes things. So that is 1 Minute Motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by, of course, What's Next, Part 1 by Miss Author Bae. Make sure you guys go follow her on Instagram at Miss_Author_Bae, BAE, to get more details and connect with the queen. So you went through this life that brought you into a place. And then because of your upbringing, because of that life, because of some of the trauma, you started to write a book. You said, you know what? I'm going to tell this story and I'm going to write this book. But then you said, I stopped writing for 8 years. What happened?
So there's a saying, I don't know if you heard it, I'm sure you did. It says, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Writing is something that I did passionately. I discovered the passion of writing when I was about 8 years old. I wrote to escape. I wrote short stories. I used to write little songs, poetry that always poured out really what was on my heart and my mind. And then I kind of like, it's just coming up, I started dating drug dealers as a teenager. So you start getting out of, you're not into those. And that was my passion. I didn't know it was a passion. When I initially started writing my book back in 2009, it was just, well, the idea was in 2008, and it was just more so. I used to like urban books, the urban fiction books. We call them hood books. So I started reading those when I was about 15, and they're fun and cute, when you're 15. Right. You wish you the girl, you wish you dating the dude. They got these big lifestyles, and when I got about 20, I don't know how I was in 2008. I don't know. I was in my early 20s. And I told my best friend, like, man, I'm sick of these. I was reading a book. I don't remember which one I was reading. But I'm like, I'm sick of these books. The ending is all, it's fairy tale. It's not real. Yeah. I'm like, man, I'm going to write me a book one day, and I'm going to keep it real. I'm not going to make it like we were super rich. I'm not going to add on more money than what was had and more lifestyle. I'm going to keep it kosher. So I had said it in 2008. Like I said, it opens up with a suicide attempt. So in 2009, I was going through it super bad, lost my job. A lot of stuff was going on. And, I ended up utilizing my downtime into writing. And I didn't know, I just was going to write this and I don't know what I was going to do with it, but that was the plan, was just to write it and publish it. And I didn't really have it. I wasn't so goal driven about it. I was just doing it. And then like I said, I had stopped. This life started happening. A couple more deaths had happened close to me. I started getting distracted. And like I said, once if you don't use it, you lose it. So I started losing the passion, to do it. Put that pen down, and next thing I know, 8 years in the past.
Wow. And you talk about the suicide attempt that you opened the book with. Was that just a culmination of everything, right? I experienced some mental health. I was abused as a kid, both sexually and mentally and emotionally and physically, right? And I suppressed that until I was a young adult, and it literally caused an implosion in me, where I just had a meltdown, right? Was your suicide attempt, was it a culmination of all of those events, or was there one just super traumatic thing that happened and you was like, man, this is a wrap, I'm out of here?
It was more like a mixture of both. It was like, well, first of all, I've been battling suicide thoughts. I didn't ever, the suicide thoughts had started around the time I was 8 years old. I didn't know, I was molested when I was between ages 1 and 3. I didn't know at the time that I was being molested, Gotcha. When I realized I was 8 years old, and I didn't even know how to even talk to my friends about it. A little situation had happened. So it started having me, and I grew up a 7-day Adventist. So it started having me question, God for a long time in my life. I'm gonna be honest, I would say things like, why you got me living? And then at the time, at 8, there's not a sexual abuse had went on anymore. I think it stopped around maybe 4 years old, but then there was other things that was going on, mental abuse, neglect from a family member. So that was going on. So I really felt like, my purpose it clearly is not right. So that was something I had, and I was suppressing it. Like, I did grow up like popular. I grew up, even when I started dating my daughter's dad, him just being the type of person he was. The mask thing, I mask things very well,
Gotcha. Yeah.
What I will say is, like, I didn't realize I was surrounded by people with crazy traumas as well. Not they might not have been the same, but it might be, you know, a parent might have been an addict, you know, and so they had that trauma. Like, so, you know, like attracts like. So I'm surrounded by people who's similar, but I'm not expressing certain, like they know certain things that I feel is more common sense relatable, but the sexual thing was super hard for me, you know. That was super bad anxiety. So as far as the suicide attempt, at that point, you know, I had already went through two crazy deaths, you know. One of the deaths I really don't want to mention for my readers that's going to end up watching when I can share this, because I don't want them to know a character that dies. But two major deaths that happened, and like I said, it's something that I fought for years, but it just kind of like I lost my job that particular year, and just I was at my wit's end. You know, I felt like I was at my wit's end. So it's an attempt, but I didn't do it. You know.
Right. Yeah.
However, earlier this year, I actually did attempt. You know what I mean? So it's been a fight since July of this year. You know, I've been clean of not, like, I wake up every day happy to be alive, and I haven't felt like this in 28 years. So it's a major, you know, that alone to me is a major winning, you know, just to feel like I got a purpose to be here for whatever reason.
Yeah, and it's sad that it took that long, right? And I can imagine suicidal thoughts or tendencies at 8 years old, right? And then living and fighting that battle to try to figure out, is that real? Should I really be thinking this way? Or can I find some meaning in life? And now you're connected to a lot of people who got different traumas, and they're sharing their trauma with you. And sometimes, I don't know if you're this way, but sometimes being the person hearing that and receiving that and trying to help and encourage other people, that adds burden to your life. And wow, I can't imagine. Well, kudos to you for fighting the fight and coming to this place where every day is a happy day for you to be alive, and you know that you have purpose. They say that there's two most important days in your life: the day that you're born and the day that you figure out why. And it sounds like you figured out why, and now you got that reason and that purpose to live. So we pick up the book 8 years after we start writing, and then something hits you that says, no, we're going to get this done in 30 days. And
30 days.
You picked the pen up. Did you have to dust off any rust or writing rust or nothing? Or did everything just flow in that 30-day span to help you finish this thing up?
So I'm going through a divorce. It's not final. The process is it's a whole mess. So the divorce kind of triggered the suicide attempt back in March. The actual act. It wasn't even attempt. The attempt is the opening of the book back now, but the actual, like, I was in the hospital, you know, I tried to overdose. Yeah. And that's when my best friend found out. You know, she didn't know. Me and my best friend's been friends for almost 20 years. And, you know, she didn't know that this was this serious. So I took, you know, that was March 13th. So of course they had put me into like a group therapy. And from group therapy, I was referred to trauma therapy. You know, so I do trauma therapy 3 times a week. I love every bit of it. Like, I tell my therapist, when I go to my places foreign, like, I'm still gonna be getting my therapy. But anyways, when I said I wanted to do the book in 30, and I told my best friend, like, you know what, May 20th, I'm finishing this book. I ain't even playing. So normally when I would write before, how I got my book to flow, like, I'm a super perfectionist and I'm a big critic. Like, I don't like things to drag. And if it is going to drag, make sure you're entertaining me, at least. Right. So before I would do each chapter prior, I always would go 2 chapters back so I could make sure it's flowing how I wanted to flow. Well, this round, when I picked the pen back up, I didn't do none of that. I just wrote. Okay, I didn't go back and reread the previous. I just wrote. So I got 30. I think it's 38 chapters, 36 or 38. It's a big book, right? It's big. But 21 chapters in 30 days. I text my best friend. I called her. I said, look, I ain't even reading this. Read this and tell me if it flowed right. I said, I'm scared. You figure I had 17 chapters that I took my time with, I really thoroughly did. And I'm like, look, I don't know how this sound. I don't know if it's as good as the first 17 chapters. Read it and let me know, because I'm just done with it,
Yeah.
And I sent it to her. My best friend works 11 to 7, so she read it in literally in her shift, the entire book.
Oh, wow.
She couldn't believe it. She texted me. She said, you did it. She said, you really wrote a book. She said, oh my goodness. And she even told me, and I asked her, I said, but did you feel it? Because I know my biggest goal was that my readers felt this. And she said, listen, I had to put it down on certain parts, because she lived a lot of these moments with me. You know what I mean? So she knows, so she was like, I had to put it down, on certain parts, just because I had to get myself back together. She was like, but yeah, I can't believe that you did this. So yeah, I did, and that was my process. I didn't go, I just went. It was like a freestyle. And I published this unedited. My edited versions in my email. I'm talking about, I done took all the risks, because there was so many roadblocks trying to stop me from my date. We got to the date, but
I love it. I love it. And sometimes at one point you said, I'm a perfectionist. And then you got to a point where you said, man, I got to throw caution to the wind, because this is too important. This is too critical. This thing needs to be done. And sometimes we will hold ourselves back and be like, I got to do this. And I like to say, perfectionism is just a bougie way of saying procrastination, right? You just making excuses to not do something. That's all. Every time somebody tells me a perfectionist, that's what I'm thinking in my head.
They waiting for the right time. Everything
gotta
be right.
It ain't no such thing as a right time, right?
That's
when my kid get a little bit older, when I finish this job, when I graduate from school, and you just keep saying that perfectionism is a bougie way of saying procrastination. That's what I found out about myself, at least. But you got this thing done, and you went ahead and published it as it was, and then you go back and clean it up, edit it, and re-release it and all that kind of stuff. So what was that process like? Because now you're entering the world of entrepreneurship, right? This is like, it's one thing to be the creative, and now I'm writing this thing, and then I can hand it off to a publisher. They're going to hand it off to a marketer. They're going to get it to a distributor and all of this stuff. But that ain't your case. It's like you are all of that now. So what is that experience like, Miss Author Bae? Not the writer, but Miss Author Bae, the entrepreneur.
Scary. And faith is super, you got to really have faith. What I said earlier, walking by faith, not sight. I had so many obstacles trying to work against, and I had to fight through it. Like my date alone, my date was August 22nd, and I was adamant about the August 22nd, everything being done. That's why the editing, I didn't even use the edited version, because the timing was messing up my date, and I was super adamant about the 22nd because I hated the number 22. And I was getting to a point in my life where I didn't want to hate anything, not a number, not a color. And a lot of bad things happened with 22 around me. And I'm like, we're going to change this narrative. I'm going to drop it on the 22nd, and I'm going to now like the 22. So things try to get in the way of that. The matter of fact, Amazon kept, so it definitely was scary. Amazon kept not, they wouldn't approve the hard copy because of my dimensions. And it was, I had just got surgery. So I'm in a recovery of a major surgery down in Miami. And I'm like, the book's supposed to come out in like 4 days. And they're telling me, they keep rejecting it. I'm telling the graphic designer, like, you got to fix this. And he's taking longer too. They approved it literally the day before it was, I had told the world it was going to be available. So, I mean, but I was serious. I didn't say, never mind, it might not be. I'm like, we're going to keep that. It's the entrepreneurship is super, it was scary. It's just scary even sharing my art with the world.
I certainly agree. with that. And that goes back to our quote, right? The fear of criticism is at the bottom of the destruction of most ideas, which never get to planning and action, right? Sometimes we don't see the call on our lives, and we don't see the project that we're working on as part of that ultimate purpose, and we'll delay and we'll put it off and we'll allow things to stop us because of what we think other people will think, right? And I know you experienced some of this as creating a fictional work that's based on reality, right? And whenever you do a work like that, it is like there are people that understand what I'm talking about, and somebody says, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? And as much as you want to protect the innocent and not put people's names out there and put people on blast, but there's some people who feel no, that this I know what she's talking about. I was kind of in that situation with her. How did you deal with that aspect of writing your truth without necessarily throwing everybody else under the bus and still keep it authentic?
So this is great. So first of all, I definitely I got scared like the day before. I told my best friend, like, I don't know if I want to publish this, because I'm like, I don't want certain people to feel a certain type of way. My best friend said, she's like, oh, it's everything in here is fact. So one of the things I did was stick to facts. It's not opinion. The book is it's really just facts. If it is anything that's opinion, it's like quotation in my words, me saying something. I had to understand and even speak out to the Most High, just universal self, that I know that there's no malicious intent behind this. And I trust that, and I know that. The fact that I'm confident in knowing that this is not for anybody else but for me, that helps me stay confident with my head high. And as far as another thing I did in writing, I kept it strictly on my journey. So it's not about any individuals. So anything I did touch base on, it's so brief because this story ain't about them. So I don't really want too much focus and light on anybody that's not in the deal with my realm. But it's definitely there is certain two characters I think that probably don't like their character, but the thing that's in mentioning is only facts. But there's no, like I said, there's no malicious intent behind it. There's no slandering.
Gotcha. So what would you say to a person who wants to write their story, and they're afraid, right? Just like you were, right? How would you talk to someone who is in a similar situation and says, you know what, I know that I have a story that is meant not for me, but for others. I know I've gone through some things that I didn't necessarily go through those things for me. I went through those things for someone else, and I need to tell that story. What kind of words of encouragement can you give someone in that situation to maybe not get them to finish a project in 30 days, but at least get started on a project?
That's something you want to do. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Also, make sure, I just feel like anything you want to do, make sure you're passionate about it. You have to be passionate. That's really going to be, because that's going to be the key to remaining consistent, to setting goals of when you're going to finish it, how you're going to finish it. It actually brings in, because you're so passionate, more creativity comes in with it. Stick to your plan. Don't let no one, if this is something that you want to do, don't let nothing or anything get you off the plan. Like, I've had people tell me they was only going to buy the book. People was only going to buy the book to be nitty. But I've had complete strangers read my book that don't even know me or nobody. So, but that could have been discouraging, so don't let nothing get in the way if this is what you want to do.
Gotcha. I love it. Well, we're the second part of my second favorite segment of the Cortez Hustle Show. is a segment that we call freestyle, Miss Author Bae, because you can't be in PA and not have bars, right? What is that? The home of Meek Mill and people like that. Well,
Yeah,
no,
they
no, that ain't
Philly.
the freestyle that we're
They
talking about.
Philly.
We're not talking about that kind of bars. But really, as I'm building this multi-billion-dollar media empire, starting with this podcast, I don't always ask the right questions. And sometimes the conversation doesn't always go where my guests want it to go. So this is your opportunity to take 2 minutes and either reiterate something that we covered that you think is really important, or if there's something that we haven't gotten to yet that you feel is important for young writers, young entrepreneurs, young single moms, whoever you want to send this message to. There's something really important, near dear to your heart that you want to say before we get off the air. I want to give you the opportunity to do that. So this is freestyle, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, the Miss Author Bae version. Hit them with your best bar, sis.
My favorite lesson is sent out to anybody doing entrepreneurs: take risks. Be a risk taker. Do not worry about if you're going to fail or not. If you do fail, fail big. I did Zell quote that, and I just really hang on to that. You'll continually learn. Just keep going. Like, keep going. Do not let fear stand in the way of anything. What's for you is for you, And also to any writers, your story might not be for everybody, but your story is for somebody, So everybody's not, the biggest of the biggest got critics, but that didn't stop them from being who they are and whatever, getting the fame or obtaining whatever they were supposed to obtain. That's for them. So just stick to the plan. Take your risks.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Take risks, and your story ain't for everybody, but it is for somebody. Drop the mic, sis. Boom. We just want to drop the mic. That's what we do around here. Listen. That is freestyle, the Miss Author Bae version. Y'all make sure y'all connect with sis on Instagram, Miss_Author_Bae, BAE. Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful work. I know it takes a tremendous amount of courage to put your art in front of the world to be judged. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to allow yourself to be vulnerable, especially when it comes to certain traumas that we have been taught and trained to be ashamed of. So kudos to you. Congratulations on all your success from the book. I'm going to give you some final thoughts, and make sure you tell everybody where to get the book, how they can connect with you, and any other projects that you got going on. Let them know what's up.
Well, you can connect with me, like he said, on Instagram, Miss Author Bae, 3 words _ between each word. I'm also on Facebook. If you type in Miss Author Bae, I'll pop up. If not, my real name is Monet Smith, and it comes that way. Same thing on Twitter, Miss Author Bae, all across the board, Miss Author Bae, TikTok. What else did you ask? And I mean, you can purchase the book on Amazon. I do have 4 copies, but of course I'm in Pittsburgh. Yeah, so that's
nice.
Nice.
Love it, love it, love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been listening to and learning from Miss Author Bae all about her journey through trauma and how she was able to recover and get to a place where she wakes up every day happy to be alive. That's an amazing feat. Last thing, you mentioned therapy. And that 3 days a week you're dealing with your trauma through a therapist. Encourage our people that it's okay to go see somebody. First of all, like that line in that song says, it's okay not to be okay. That's number one. And then number 2, it's okay to go see somebody to get some help sorting through all of the emotional baggage that we've been carrying for years because of trauma in our youth. Please tell the people that it's cool.
So let me just drop this is real deal. First of all, my therapist goes to see a therapist. So we need to normalize therapy, especially in the Black community. The reason why I say such, our people, a lot of things are genetic. So even if you haven't had sexual abuse to you, maybe not even neglect, we have a lot of things passed down through genes because of what our ancestors went through, the torments that they went through. And because we are same bloodline, a lot of stuff is like manic depression, you're prone to it. period,
Mhm.
point blank, as a Black person. I mean, even other cultures too, but I'm just speaking in general, especially from us that come up how we do. Normalize therapy. It's okay. You need someone to talk to that you can just be yourself completely.
Mhm.
Young people, my daughter's about to get therapy. She's 16, from
Mhm.
having to have deal with a mom that had trauma,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I want to get her stuff sooner rather than later. Like, as far as me, I am going to
Mhm.
be traveling to a lot of cities and talk to. I'm actually going to Atlanta in a couple months. So,
Nice.
but yeah, we should normalize therapy. I mean, like I said, my therapist sees a therapist. So that shows you that
Yeah.
no matter what walk of life you in, no matter how successful, what you're obtaining, it does not mean that you don't need nobody to talk to, because you do. You'd be surprised how it affects you.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Connect with her on Instagram, Miss Author Bae _ between Miss and after author, Miss _ author _ Bae, BAE. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys all for tuning in. Until we talk to you next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it. Each and every single one of you. Now hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.